call the City Council workshop August 4th, 2025, 4:30 to order. Roll call.
Toby Nelson.
Michelle Adams.
Christy Gerard.
Jessica Barlow.
Jackie Hines.
Joe Vazama.
David Paradise.
Dan Reaver.
Sam Solar. Alright, start off with some business, ordinance change discussion.
So I think the best way to tackle this, is to go section by section, at least through the current ordinances, and, see if you guys have any notes from you reviewing them the last few months here. First section is general provisions, basically like what you can assess for and what we can take over and do if we need to. Declaring free diseases and assessing for our services. Anybody have any notes or comments about that section?
The snow removal is 24 hours. Can we up it? And then do 72 hours instead of 24?
Isn't like a standard usually like 48. I mean,
Something.
24 seems a little short, but
Yeah.
I think we could up it, like give them 48 hours from the end of the snowfall. And stop snowing. 48 hours is better. I mean, that seems reasonable, doesn't it? Somebody's out of town or, works shorter hours or something like that.
How many times we run into that a winter?
A lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, even we struggle to clear our own stuff within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how many notices are we sending out?
Oh, I don't think we do. Yeah.
Okay.
That would, like, Public Works has gone out in the past, and we've done that if it gets really bad. Otherwise, if we get complaints, I'll go out and take a look, yeah.
And Daniel, from your point of view, if you looked at it, okay, would that make a difference in that going from 24 to 48 hours? Do you think you'd get less complaints or less? Or do you think it would stay about the same?
I probably stay the same, but I would jump it up a little more. 24 hours is asking a lot.
Yeah. Well, some people get really picky about the 24 hours, and they're like, my neighbor hasn't cleared, and it's like, can you give them a minute? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be reasonable thing to see.
Yeah.
I mean, 48 hours is reasonable to me.
48.
2 days.
48 sounds good, everybody?
Yeah, it's like 48 from the end of the snow event.
Have we in the past ever had to take over, just do it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering how often we actually go out and have to clear somebody's sidewalk.
Happens a lot more than you think.
Not every day, or not every time,
No,
there's
it's
snow events,
snowfall,
but, it depends on the winter,
Like if it's a non bus stop corner, and they haven't shoveled it, or no one's done anything, we'll go blow it. But usually it's complaint based still.
You can have ice on my sidewalk, so that's sidewalk.
There's a lot of fixing out there.
I'm just saying, you can try and get all that stuff you can, but.
This also has some language in there about repair of sidewalks and alleys. Since the city took over repairing the sidewalks, we should get that.
Do we have any technical alleys?
Yeah.
Maintained?
We have
Yeah, we have the
One?
yeah.
Just the one?
It's right behind, it's straight west of the post office. And it goes roughly to the old Scott's Glass place. So little jaunt there. Yeah, we follow that. And it's really tight.
We will get that updated. I'll have to check. I can't remember if we had the attorney write up anything at the time that would replace this. Anything else under that section?
tree diseases,
Mm-hmm.
should probably include emerald ash borer.
Should be, I'm sorry.
Emerald ash borer in there.
Probably just an updated list of the bad trees.
Are we equipped to go out there?
Do we have the equipment to test for MR asport? No.
That's the state.
You have to hire out.
Yeah,
You'd have to hire out.
pretty easy to figure out though.
Change the snow removal policy to 48 hours, change the repair of the sidewalks to the city responsibility, and updated list for tree diseases. Anything else? Next section is abandoned vehicles. Starting on page 57 of the packet is a Minnesota Basic Code, recommendation for nuisance parking and storage, and that goes over abandoned vehicles a little bit.
We really need the, it's 3 years old or older in there. Seems like more focus on the condition, not the age of said vehicle.
Now, total vehicle is less than 2 years old. But that'd be covered under speed.
I'll move on to the in there.
I don't know, who's doing approximate fair market value.
Maybe I'll have our city attorney take a look at this chapter and compare it to the Minnesota Basic Code that they're suggesting and have them kind of marry them and make a better section for this. We'll go from that later, so the nuisance parking, they said it's a better thing than we have right now. Doesn't look like the Minnesota Basic Code one defines like an age on the car, so I'll have them review that and we'll get stuff back at that one. Is there anything else under that section that was an issue that they raised?
Are we doing anything about impounding vehicles?
I mean, we have towed them, Wright County thing, we don't, do that, so. We'd have to report it to Wright County and they would have their paperwork.
under 5104, is that there? 1.5 and 06. Is all that there?
Rules.
Yes, we can impound if it's on public property, if it's on private property, there's only certain conditions under which we can impound a vehicle. Generally, this is taken care of by law enforcement.
Yeah.
I do work with Dominic pretty often with parking and other issues, so. My favorite topic, animals. On page 43 of your packet is a Minnesota Basic Code suggestion that goes into pretty great depth about dangerous dogs and how to handle them. It's about 6 or 7 pages just about dangerous dogs. And then one section about dogs and cats running at large. I don't know that we would want to include cats with that.
We could never keep up.
And the Minnesota Basic Code on page 52 about the dogs and cats running at large actually has the same leash law that we currently have, that says dogs or cats on a leash and accompanied by a responsible person or accompanied by and under the control and direction of a responsible person so as to be effectively restrained by command as by leash shall be permitted on the streets and in public lands. Do we want to discuss our leash law or changing that?
If you look on the community pages or just anywhere around, dogs need to be on leashes. Just because so many are getting out, so many are, we've had a few dog attacks, I just think it's worthwhile to have dogs on leash. And, but
How do we enforce it?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I mean,
We can say it. You can read it out.
I would say, I have a couple neighbors that they take their dogs on walks without leashes. They're well more maintained and ordinance than some of the dogs I see out there. So,
yeah,
it's really, it's always comes down to
Who the owner is, cause I mean, you look at the dog
Right.
attacks that we have had this summer, and
It's
not
been
one of
three of
those
the
has been a
same.
resident of the city.
No,
They're
and it's
all
three of the
township
same.
residents
yeah, we
that
read it
live
when I
in the
went.
vicinity of the city.
Yep.
So I mean, like we can't control our township residents, their animals, and that's been the biggest problem that we've had. It hasn't actually been our own residents.
Yeah, we can't tell the township.
Right, but
And I'd hate for our residents to have to suffer for something that someone from the township.
I don't think there's a lot of people that are going around
No,
without leashes when they're walking. I mean, I think most of the time you're seeing a dog out, it's because they got out of the house.
out of the house or, like it's a regional, so there's a lot of dogs that, they're out there playing fetch with the dogs and the dogs are very well maintained, they're out there playing, people are walking by all the time and the dogs just keep, playing fetch, doing whatever they gotta do, I mean,
But it's not a dog park. We should have a dog park over there though.
it's very fetch for it.
Not even that.
I know, it's way more than that.
Insurance.
I know, we looked into it a couple years ago.
But people that I've noticed around now, their dogs have been pretty well behaved. Like Dave just said, his neighbors walking without leashes and their dogs are
we gonna change all of our signage then? Cause that's a big expense to change signage instead of just changing the simple verbiage in here.
I don't think we really need to change signage. If you would. I think at the end of the day, it's your responsibility for whatever happens to your dog, whatever you do.
Well, and
No ordinance is gonna take that and go, wow, it's allowed, it doesn't matter, your dog attacks, your dog attacks.
Right.
So like in the park, it says no pets allowed unless on a leash.
Correct.
but is on a leash considered if they're under control as if they were on a leash?
And I don't know either, I'm just,
No,
I don't know.
I would really have to have it done on the leash part. That's, so,
Could you just
But
add
that's
that?
just the park.
Let's say, in all city parks or city property, that'd be a little tough. All city parks, all dogs must be on leash. Just add that as a provision.
They're breaking it over at Rolling Meadows all the time.
But how many of those things? do you have?
They're up there.
every park, 9, 12,
Yeah, Horse Creek or not, correct. Every
That's
park
the
does that.
So let's,
Those people kinda do whatever they want.
let's talk about it though.
Yeah.
And we can go and change that. What's the punishment?
Right.
How do we, what's the, yeah, like, that's my thing, is,
but we got two
It-
things contradicting each other though.
I get what you're
So-
saying, but, I mean, we can all be civil and smart here and figure out that we can change the sign and pay whatever it costs. How do we enforce it? What's the enforcement? Where is it on here that says, your cow, your dog off leash is gonna be $100 a night? You can say that, but how do we enforce that piece?
That is the hardest piece, that if there's not a deputy there or there's not staff there to see it, how do you?
Again,
Regardless of what it
any issue with a dog, whether they're on leash or off leash,
It's the responsibility of the owner.
it doesn't really matter. For me, I don't care if the sign says you have to be on leash or they can be off leash, it doesn't matter, my dogs are always on leash. But again, my dogs do anything, my responsibility.
So could we just add, since we're doing doing it right now, why can't we just add in there that, like, as far as description, what does leash mean? On a leash or under the control of the owner, then that would rectify this, and we're not making a ton of changes.
Maybe we can put whatever we
Leash
want on
or
the
under
sign,
control of the owner.
but
I mean, it's about the definition of the word, I guess, I mean, I get what you're saying, you know,
I understand, I understand it,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it doesn't affect me, 'cause I don't trust my dogs off leash. But it's one of those things of, what are we gonna do when we run into that?
You got people who tell that their dogs do better off leash and listen to their owners better when they're not on a leash. I mean, every owner, every pet is different.
For the current ordinance, under definitions, it says under restraint, a dog is under restraint if it is on the premises of the person harboring or keeping a dog, or is controlled by a leash not exceeding 6 feet in length, is at heel beside a person having custody of it, or obedient to the person's command, or is within a private motor vehicle the person is owning, harboring, or keeping a dog.
You got so much a hunter than other dogs.
Well, I mean, if they're under restraint, they're under restraint, you know, whether that's by command or by leash.
Yeah, if that's the definition, then that covers it.
Again, I think the only time you're gonna have any issue of if something happens with that dog.
And then
And
that's up to that owner to
Yeah,
deal with the
and-
consequences of.
100%.
Right.
You know, so I'd rather not have something that's so strict in an ordinance that we're not gonna be able to enforce versus, yeah, unfortunately, things happen with animals. There will be consequences and that's dealt with by Wright County.
Personal responsibility.
If somebody takes something like that.
But the only time my dog has been outside of my yard off the leash is when he escaped because of fireworks on a random Tuesday. My fireworks. Excuse that section. But I mean, I don't know.
So if
Are
you
we
go
going
to
with that verbiage
5206, it
That's
says
already
right
in
here,
Oh.
unless the city has posted it with signs reading dog prohibited. I mean, if the park signs say dogs need to be on leash in the park, then they should be reading the signs and following the rules.
We all know people who follow rules, people that don't.
What's the punishment? Yeah, I
You
don't
know,
know.
like, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, it's just like 5203, a person owning any animal shall clean up after
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
piece.
the amount of times I
Yeah,
watch
that
people
don't happen, so.
leave poop in my front yard, it's great.
Another thing that's really hard to enforce.
That's just when people put video on Facebook and shame people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, we gotta put things in here that are enforceable. True, you know, and not try and just have a bunch of rules and nobody follows anything. And then people get mad because you can't enforce it, they'll follow up and like this shit about it.
And we can enforce the rules of species, and I have. In the past, I've written letters if I have proof from neighbors or video or whatever that they give me. Sometimes it is a neighbor calling to complain because they don't like their neighbor and whatever they're saying. I've had a call from somebody complaining about their neighbor's dog, the neighbor doesn't even have a dog. So, you know, people get mad and they complain about silly things sometimes.
The neighbor.
So, So, you know, we enforce what we can. I would assume that Wright County would enforce if they blatantly saw somebody, you know, in the park and their dog was going to the bathroom and they just walked away. But again, we're not always there. It depends on the deputy
But,
probably.
yes, but, you know.
Or maybe they'll say something to the person like, hey, you need to pick that up,
Mhm.
like, yeah, I don't know.
Does Forge Creek have a dog station down there?
And we have way stations in lots of areas, right?
Yep, and then there's dog poop right by them.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Right.
The only thing I do wanna talk about is like the 5207, I do wanna talk about that a little bit. We are not a dog pound anymore, we do not, like, I think we need to ixnay that.
Well, so one of the code things that the people were working on with codification, one of the things they're recommending is this dangerous dog ordinance, which is very lengthy and goes over all the steps to, either allow somebody to have a dangerous dog or prohibit them from having a dangerous dog and taking it away. We don't currently have, a kennel that we contract with, and no, you've talked to a couple, I don't exactly know how much that would be and how much we would be able to use them, it's hard because we aren't animal control. Some of our public works employees are not comfortable handling people's dogs.
We haven't been animal control in probably 10+ years, at least.
So in the packet on page 102 is, kind of just some general ideas for animal licensing. And the caveat to that would be doing some sort of animal control. I don't think it really makes sense to do one thing without the other. So in here, under section 5205, it talks about dog licenses being required. And I guess it kind of comes down to the same thing, right, where it's like you have them on the leash, off the leash. If they're not on the leash, how are you going to enforce it? So we're paying $250 a year, which is not a big deal, for nobody to come up and get a dog license. They do nothing. If people don't get a dog license, there's no consequence for not getting one. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So I guess the recommendation would be to get rid of that whole section and not do dog licensing, or do dog licensing and then contract with Monticello for animal control. Their fees are in that, on 102, maybe it's 103 in here. You know, I didn't say anything, I did ask them about cats, but then they told me that St. Michael pays $1,800 a month for cats. And I said, well, you can keep the cats. But so for dogs, and this is kind of their outline, what their fees would be. There's a yearly fee, which is basically what we pay for be that if you don't have a tag, and your dog gets picked up or whatever else, right, you incur all these fees. Hopefully paying for the license would cover some of these fees. You know, I don't know if it's a great resource, I don't know if we wanna enforce it, but I don't think we should have one without the other. It just doesn't really make any sense, right? It's like, get a dog license, but if you don't, we don't care.
Well, right.
Let's do it or not do it.
Right now, when we do have dog issues, Wright County takes care of that, correct?
Yeah, the dangerous dog that was around, that was attacking.
Yeah.
Yes, Wright County did take care of that situation.
So, I mean,
Well,
I feel like most of our issues are that.
But I don't know how willing they're gonna be to just pick up dogs if they're just running loose.
They won't,
If that
they'll call
was,
us.
that was a special situation because of the viciousness of the attack,
They've called public works before, dog running at large, I said, we're no longer animal control.
Yeah.
And they're like, we aren't either, so, dog runs at large.
until somebody picks it up and posts it on Facebook and says they
Right.
got your dog.
Again.
Literally, my wife and I have done that all 5 times. Once a year, we're looking for it.
So,
Yeah, or public works signs at the back of their work truck. Brings up to the city.
We used to, I ain't gonna lie to you, we got called in a lot for it. A lot.
I think most of the time when I see my dog's lost,
well, there's
somebody
a
in town
post,
has found it,
there's a post almost every day about
100%.
watching out
but
loose lost.
usually dog's found. So I don't know how worthwhile it is for us to pay this fee. You know,
So do we require the licensing?
They,
I would say the licensing will be there if we're paying for a kennel, which we're not.
the fees were removed from licensing several years ago because the thought was that if you remove the fees, people would be more, willing and apt to come and get their dog license. That was not the case. It's been dwindling ever since. We probably have a handful of them.
Moving to a lower
And then here's my thing, okay, so we put a fee to it. What do we do for those that aren't doing it?
Well, that's what I'm saying, without the animal control, it doesn't make sense to do the fee because there's no call to action.
That's what
So,
I'm saying.
that's why I'm just saying, we either just do it or we get rid of it.
I think we just get rid of it. If we're, like I said, if we're not gonna be, animal control, if we're not, I don't think we need to be.
I still think you need an ordinance on how many animals they can have.
No,
Yeah.
that we're not touching.
It's
It's 30
Wait for it,
chickens.
Reamer.
Well, I was told in the beginning, the reason why they did licenses is so people could have over 3 dogs.
No,
So
we're
they
at 2.
kinda keep track.
I don't
We have 2
think it makes sense to require licensing if we can't do anything about it.
Right.
That's right, that's kind of,
There's no point to it.
if there's no action for us to take, then
Right.
what are we doing?
And it is a checks and balances to monitor how many people have dogs, but the other things have to be in effect for that to work too, and it doesn't, if we're not gonna do that, so.
Well, and before, when we used to go out and catch the dogs that were loose, it was like, then we could, check the spreadsheet and see if we have contact information for the owner and get right in contact with them, and that was kind of the madness, behind that, but, that wasn't super effective either, because we didn't really have.
Well, a lot of
We
people
had
are going
a
to
place to
chips
store
now, and they
them,
don't put their
but-
tags on them, even when they do come up and get them, they don't put them on the leash, they don't put the tag on the leash.
I mean,
Right.
you look at the current ordinance, it says, 3 months of age, but, like, when you do the dog license, there you get, we want rabies shots, you can't do any of that at 3 months. I mean, that stuff's not, so dogs a little older, so
I think
it's like.
standard is usually 6 months.
Yeah, and then most people, like Danny said, are putting chips in and things like that, so.
There's no service that we're paying for.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have licensing. Yes, we still have to have, you can only have X amount.
Yes.
And that, again, would come down to us knowingly having that information.
And I think,
somebody telling on you.
like, running at large should still be prohibited, obviously,
Oh, for sure.
and in certain circumstances, maybe Wright County would help out, or, but again, that's a lot of times, people in the community will find them and get them back with their owners, so.
I would say if it becomes a nuisance or something that Wright County's dealing with, or we're picking them up,
Yeah.
then that's something we need to
Look
revisit.
at it again.
But like I said, almost 90% of the
And then 5208, seizure and impoundment. That's cell phone? No. Do we wanna leave this in here in case, otherwise we can look at the one for the dangerous dog one. Wright County seems to have a lot more leverage over the dangerous dogs because it becomes an issue. Because then they would have the ability to impound and put parameters around a seized dog that was dangerous.
I think we need to work with Wright County on how we can get them to enact that, and have a better understanding how it works. You know, especially when it comes to, that dog attacked 3 different people.
Well, again, that
Obviously,
wasn't like us because,
It wasn't
you know,
us.
we didn't deal with it directly, but I did talk to Wright County about that and, you know, they did seize the dog, they did, you know, take it to the pound and then the owner had like 30 days to follow like a handful of, rules and they could have the dog back under certain circumstances, otherwise the dog was,
But that was after the 3rd time.
yeah.
Like, that's what I'm trying to get at, is we need a better understanding of how many chances does this a dog get?
Yeah, so I think OA should stay there, but we maybe need to relook at it and then figure out what we can do, what they can do to help us.
I'll get in touch with Wright County about 08 and then the, recommended Minnesota Basic Code about the dangerous dogs and kind of have them look over and see if that's feasible for us.
What do we do
And
with the
then-
cows that come to town?
So 5206, you're leaving,
Or the dingo, that's over here.
but like 52,
Keep 'em away from my baby.
We all knew that was
C should
coming.
come out, that's licensing.
Yeah.
So 5206, C should come out, not required licensing.
Think, 5206. The I think standard is 3 years on the rabies vaccine.
Well, so rabies vaccines are.
1 or 3.
It's, so if you get your dog, it's rabies vaccines, and you come back within a year, then you're good for 3. But if you miss that year mark, then you have to come back another year. So if you wait like the 11 months where people are recommended, then you can go out 3 years. Otherwise it is every year.
We can keep it in there, but again, we're not keeping track. You know.
$52.10.
2. Keep it at 2. I have my neighbors that have oodles of dogs. It's crazy.
I say 3. Just to match what else is around the area. It's easier for the town.
Well, what do we do if somebody has more dogs? Yeah.
Well, they've come to council before and asked
Yeah.
permission for the 3rd dog.
But most people don't,
I mean, I know people that have more than 2 and you would never know.
Some do.
unless they're a problem or there's, you know, or there's 10 dogs outside barking.
I think we just have,
Which
put a
at some
number there,
point,
put a number there that we
definitely
agree
is
on, and
Yeah.
like I said, it's more or less the nuisance.
So just think,
Yeah,
I mean, I would say let's,
what do we do? We're gonna send Michelle in to every house that has 3 dogs, and then she gets to pick the one that they're putting down.
Yes, because honestly, my neighbors have 4 freaking dogs, and it's like, dear God.
I have a
Shut the
neighbor
damn
that
dog
has
up.
4 and you would never know that.
But now
You would
that's,
never know.
that's the nuisance portion.
Yeah, but who, like, county doesn't enforce that.
cause you have to catch it.
And you can drive by my
No, I'm
house.
just saying,
I know.
It's just so hard, because how do you tell someone they have to get rid of their pet? And I understand it's their fault for breaking the rule, but it's also just like, again, it's that enforcement piece. Who's gonna enforce that and be like, give me that rat terrier, it's gone.
You know,
I mean,
You shouldn't have that kind of dog.
right, I mean.
I'm putting Christine in charge.
Oh my God.
but, you know, like, I don't like the numbers, there's people with 4 dogs that you never know, there's people that have 1 dog that isn't complete nuisance, so, you know, how do you look at it?
Yeah, but you still have to have a limit, otherwise it's gonna go out.
Yeah.
You have to have a limit.
You have to start running puppy mills around here.
Let's just leave it as is, cause again, the only time it's enforcing is when there's,
When there's an actual complaint.
so,
But, when you do get to that complaint, then what is the number?
We
I
just
would
said.
just leave it as is.
I gotta agree with
And,
that.
and if you have
I'd say
4,
just, let's do it, 3 matches surrounding cities, a bit easier on Wright County to, number 3. Not that we can do them.
And whether you look at 3 or move it to 1, but we're gonna have how many dogs at once, so.
Right, but at least we've got a number.
that would be right, April.
I don't wanna sell those three.
Bonnie's 3, let's talk about Buffalo's 3.
Let's
Let's just go with the surrounding towns. Cause again, we're not actively going out door to door enforcing this.
Thank you.
So what are we gonna do with the dingoes and the jackals and stuff? That is
I only have 2 dogs and a jackal. What's your problem? It's not a dog, it's a dingo.
Interestingly, I think that there are probably people that have 50 to 11 to be sure they exist.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But then again, who's going in the house to look?
Not me.
Not me.
Not it.
I mean, unless there's a complaint.
Well, I know there's one as we speak, because I remember putting the water meter in. They had like 35-gallon tank, now they're filled with snakes.
Oh,
Oh.
no, no. No names, Danny, no names.
I'm not saying any names.
They wouldn't have gotten a water meter, but.
Yeah, I was underneath the crawl
Yeah,
space.
like whatever, it wouldn't have been solved.
No, I counted to make sure every tank had a snake in it. Yeah.
It would have been years of tank, good luck.
Now we know how to get David.
Oh, yeah.
Idiot.
I haven't seen any of those yet.
Oh, yeah, they're always in my.
I will give you some of mine.
Seen the gardeners, but not.
Gardeners, but their gardeners are at their desk.
Oh, no.
The holes.
Grab by the tail.
I didn't check.
Yeah, pretty sure it was.
Anyway,
Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, we need to keep all that in there, just in case there's ever an issue, and
no, chickens.
not expecting that negativity, but.
Well, you own that chicken, Michelle, okay?
Not just me. Horses?
Bees? Did anybody tell the bees not allowed?
I don't think there's any of those in normally, yeah.
Oh, let's see, look at this, pigs, okay, well.
Allison.
Okay, not for my wife. No, not really.
Yeah, it's over by your, there's one over by your.
Is there? Yeah.
Yep. Brady and Brady.
It doesn't have any issues, but.
Actually, really friendly.
Just lives in Richmond.
Good about those.
I'm sure you guys see a lot of stuff.
Well, it's smarter than the fourth dog. Good.
Okay, so we'll leave the leash law as it is. Get rid of licensing. I'll get hold of the county about dangerous dogs, and limit the number to 3.
Alright, so going back to, horses, it's on here.
I wanna know where
One
they
right.
can be tied up.
When have you ever seen somebody clean up after their horse?
Ever,
Never,
ever, ever.
yeah.
It would be weird to see them.
It would be.
No, I'm just saying, but
They should have diapers like the Disney.
In a parade.
not everybody has
They
Disney
have
money,
little like
guess.
buckets that they hang on their tail and it catches.
I'm just saying,
That's it.
it's in there,
The only time it's in a parade.
Yeah,
so. It says they gotta clean up after, but how many times?
I do find it funny that Carver Field sign actually says there's no horseback riding in the park.
Is that on all of our signs?
I'm
It's a
so
softball
sick of
field, why would you be on a horse?
Yeah, remember that,
That's
that used to be gravel road right up to
it.
that.
I know, I'm saying it's a very old sign when I saw it, I was like, I wonder how old that is.
I just wanna know where the horses may be tied up during daylight hours in an area approved by the council.
Well, you know, at
The hitching
Right
post.
out
at the counter market, at the watering hole, Toby.
Yeah, good luck, yeah.
Actually, that.
So what you're saying is. 12 doesn't. Well, I mean,
You're gonna keep 8, if you wanna have parades with horses in them.
Well, it's a rural area, people ride their horses, so.
I would just get rid of B, 5212B. Unless you guys have a designated area.
We don't,
designated hours.
get rid of B and get rid of clean up B, you know, it's not gonna happen.
We got a street sweeper, just tell us where it's at.
Just saying.
Poor guy's gonna clean that up.
So get rid of 5212B.
Yeah.
And put it in the PC. I mean, we can leave that in there.
I would just leave it in there.
Yeah. They so choose.
If they so choose, please do.
Videotape it.
I mean, if you look at 5211, yeah, number 2, the last one here, C, like farm animals, like the agricultural district of the city. We don't have any
Well,
zoned
No, but they were right on the
within the
edge.
city limits.
well, and like, there's still like farm land, like the Kearney farm, you can technically
Yeah.
have animals there, so.
Yeah, they have those.
Well, yeah, but that's not,
I mean, it's down to well, it's close enough for me.
but even like that other area right next to us is urban reserve still, so.
Okay.
we could probably have some.
Okay, we can keep that then.
Chapter 53, reg website.
So you can take care of all of that too.
No. A lot of this would fall to Wright County and whatever, like the county ordinances as well, so.
Leave that one.
Yeah, nobody wants to.
Chapter 54, noise regulation. In one of the suggested ordinances that we're gonna go through, it does have a little section on noise that fairly probably similar to this.
We had a conversation about
5401(7)B. I don't know if it's really enforceable, but I do agree that somebody's sitting there blaring their stereo, doesn't matter what time of day, that's the only way to listen to it. But I don't know if I can get it.
Yeah,
If I think it would have been 7 to 10. Just go over and ask your neighbor nicely. That part I agree with, but.
and we have actually, a couple of years ago, we had, 7B enforced based on 3B. Just for an unreasonable period of time. And I remember Officer Dahl went over and was like, I know it's during daytime hours, but this is an unreasonable level and an unreasonable amount of time. So I think that does still allow a little bit of wiggle room if it is like ridiculous and crazy like that.
I mean, the most recent complaint though that I'm aware of, they were told Wright County has no right to do anything. Yeah, because it was during daytime hours. But again, if they look at this correctly, that's what you're saying, they can look at number 3.
I think the caveat with that is getting the right deputy.
That's what I think, it's interpretation, right? So I think maybe to make it easier on Wright County, is to put number 3 under like 7C.
How old are you guys?
I didn't say it. Probably the youngest guy here, he's the one saying it.
We're moving about, we're annexing into Marysville.
Oh, gosh.
See you later. Go figure out the dirt road now. We're
I
done.
know you're gonna get there.
Oh, God, got that horse so bad.
Yeah, nobody can jump a fence.
You go ahead, right, you do that, I'm gonna have all the farm animals I want.
Well, you do have a fenced in yard.
I mean, 7's more about radio or stereo type machinery compared to 3, which is any device. So I do agree with what you're saying, it all comes down to who's there to interpret it. If you put that into 7, yeah, because that's what we're gonna run into more likely than not. It's not gonna be somebody mowing their lawn or doing yard work, it's gonna be somebody playing music and auction. Put that under 7C, that way it gives the deputies, oh, I can enact this even though it's 6 PM. I would say that we can read there and add it to 7C. That's fine. Any way to make it so that Wright County can't say there's nothing we can do. We don't have a Jimmy Doll in town anymore.
I had a complaint about, lawn mowing at 6:45 AM last week.
Unless it, yeah.
Is that my daughter calling you?
I think so.
Sorry,
They do put a couple of different one more, so.
Pages 56 and 57 of the packet goes over the Minnesota Basic Code, for noises prohibited. Kind of the same, it does talk about the 50 feet distance, obnoxious noises, motor vehicles, and then, for that one, if you go down, it says hourly restriction of certain operations for power equipment, refuse handling, construction activities, radios. And again, it is up to interpretation by Wright County when they go out there. Cause I have had some noise complaints and I think they've been dismissed because they have been in the middle of the day, it's just people living their lives and.
Yeah, the 2 biggest noise complaints we probably get just now are vehicles and stereo.
Yeah, vehicle pressure, yeah. Really?
I know, I get I tried to cruise it, and I tried to make as much sound with that motorcycle. Like, yeah, you can tell when the guys are actually being thoughtful about it compared to, only so much you can do.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I
You're
think
the
I
guy
did
doing
myself,
6 extra revs while he's coasting down the.
2 o'clock in the morning, and then there's people revving your cars up, you know, yeah, these other work down, that's, you know, what we're trying to avoid, right?
Clutch stress. Obviously, snow removal equipment makes sense. Light snow blower, I mean, they got 48 hours now, so.
Well, there's a lot of people that work second shift in this town, and they're out blowing their snow before we're even plowing the driveway, or plowing the roads. So,
You know, a lot of them wanna come home and just get it done right away, and, you know.
some are blowing their driveways right into the road, and the road's not even plowed yet, and then when we go by, we fill it right back up.
I mean, home is very, so hard, driveways.
Yeah.
So do we wanna make the small changes that we talked about, the noises? Do you want to look into the Minnesota Basic Code? Do you want to have the attorney look at something in between? I know there's other cities that go into like decibel level, with the meters and all that kind of stuff.
That's getting over the top, I mean.
Are you gonna
I think you can understand what a nuisance is and what it is. If somebody doesn't want to turn the radio down, then. Wright County needs to enforce that. Power Wright County to enforce it. That's what we really have to look at is just everything here is making it enforceable for Wright County. So if there is, no question, no, well, we gotta get rid of that. And we gotta work with them on what they can actually enforce.
I can also talk to them about this ordinance while I talk to them about the animals and see what they think and let me know what they can enforce and what they can't.
I think that's, and then we put that into play with our ordinances, because again, wanna make sure that we're aligned with what they can do.
We could sit here and go through every single line, but it's not gonna do anything, what's the point?
You know, 'cause I know we had that issue with the signs in the park for parking overnight, we couldn't enforce it because we didn't have it correct. You know, so those things like that we have to just make sure that we're all good.
And most of the time enforcing, right, is if a police officer comes up to your house and tells you to turn on your radio, you're probably not gonna be like, cause right here, I mean, most people are going to be compliant with that.
No, what I'm saying, I think is they didn't get allowance, nothing I can do. Like, we need to make sure that they can, no, you can do it.
Right.
Just because it's within the time,
Yeah.
it's not a nuisance.
Yeah, like you said, we don't want to be done.
No,
Like, more
Jimmy
adding
was good about knowing,
noise and.
knowing everything in and out of that, you know?
Yes. Probably some coffee, but.
I'll talk to them and see what they recommend for this stuff and what is enforceable as far as they're concerned and,
Or how we make it enforceable.
how we make it enforceable,
Yeah.
like, you know, if it's annoying to tap out of somebody for 6 hours because the neighbor's been blaring the radio, like, maybe they can do something. Anything else about that one before I think that's right, Tony? Nuisances.
So that 55 on 4 and then one additional 48 hours to match the snow. Removal.
Yeah, I think you need to.
What are you taking out?
I would, that's the ponds part,
Yep.
not the
No.
pools.
Nope, for the
Nope.
ponds part.
I don't know about that. What do you think, Toby?
What do you look at there?
5502, number 3. Not the pools, not the stagnant water. Ponds.
All ponds or pools of stagnant water, that's kind of, there's a lot of stormwater ponds that are stagnant in this town.
So how do we fix all of that?
You don't,
Well, isn't
What do
there
they
like-
do?
Isn't there maintenance that we should be doing on these ponds though?
I
like
mean,
what,
they're probably
They're-
on
Those ponds are doing what
right?
they're
you
meant
get
to do.
dredged out, I mean, they'll get dredged out every once in a while, but other than that,
Other than that, that's,
Well, I realize that, but how
I mean,
often
if
are
you
we
think it's
dredging
gonna
these
be
ponds?
a grass beach down to the water, then I guess you better hire a lot more equipment and more guys.
Why did I put front stuff back up?
And-
Well, some people think that
I guess
it
you
needs to
got
be
water
beached
from
out of the
property.
water, but.
But aren't we supposed to be like maintaining them? I mean, I know there is a state statute on this stuff, so
Like,
every
what,
1 to 3 years or
what's
something?
your version of maintaining and my version are way different?
Well, I'm sure they are, cause I've seen my pond. But, I mean, do we honestly go out and look at the ponds and check the ends and outs and
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure it flows and?
Yeah,
and if it's meeting that requirement where water is flowing into it and exiting the pond like it should be, then there's nothing that.
are we doing it as often as
do.
some residents want us to? No. I could tell
Right,
you
so
that.
what
Per
should,
the legislature of the state, you just have to maintain the infall and the outfall
Correct.
of them, and if the infall and the outfall.
You know how we
being
usually
maintained,
catch them?
there
With a
should be
plank
no-
or standing water.
We have a schedule that
No, we are not set up to
It's an
schedule.
as needed type thing.
we should be though.
Oh, absolutely, and it's gonna cost a lot of money if you wanna get these on schedule.
But it's gonna cost more if we don't, you
Correct?
know, in the long run, so.
That should have been done a long time ago, yeah, we need to do an inventory and schedule all this, and most towns hire all that out.
Are you talking about like dredging?
Yeah.
Well, dredging and the inventory and, you know, all that good stuff, but we definitely need to start looking into it.
What inventory? Like what is inventory?
How many stormwater ponds we got? Do you wanna guess? Cause off the top of my head, I wanna say there's like 25.
Isn't there something more in this? Should we watch them all? That should be part of what
You would
they're-
think so,
It
but I
is.
don't know all the rules to that stuff. We don't, you know, it's, every town adopts its own policy in stormwater ponds. Pretty much what towns do is usually just adopt another town's policy. Shouldn't say that word, your bigger towns with a lot more tax income, they watch them pretty closely.
Mhm.
And they pretty much have a crew that goes around and watches them. We have nothing in place like that, nothing at all.
So how do we
I
get
can tell you at
something
work,
like
we're
that?
averaging about every 10 years, they're done.
Yeah, but
There's only been one in this town that I know of got done, and it's in Pleasant Hill.
And it's
I've
22 years
been,
before.
I've been in my
Correct.
space more than 10 years. So,
So, how do we go about this stuff?
That'd be something I would have to talk to the engineers about, I would think.
I mean, even if we can't do it on a big scale, like is there a small scale, there's something we still
something just a
doing,
little,
just something.
I wouldn't even know what the standards are on like the depth of silt, and when it needs action requirements.
But let Bolton and Mink do that for you.
That's what I think they probably have the equipment and the people to do that.
They should.
stuff.
Or at least give you some
Is there
guidelines,
something-
like on a small city, this is what you could do on a small scale.
what
And
does like,
Bolton makes sure that's a natural resource.
Yeah.
What?
Department within.
you guys have anything like that?
WSP. They have WSP for their engineer, that's what we did.
Bolton and Mink should have a natural resources
Yes, they should be.
department.
And they
should
would
be
come
able
out
to
with-
give him that information.
Hanover would burn around their ponds every other year. Public Works did it, and they would burn around the ponds and get it down, and the dredging, of course, I was hired out.
So what are they going out there with, like big blow torches or what?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we try to keep our pond as clean as we can, but
Do it, you got 25 of them, I bet
there's
you
so
there's more
much
than
stink
25.
and scum in there.
Is there that many?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you talk to Kevin about, maybe in the fall,
do some
Fire department wants to do
training.
some training, well,
I'll let you
Right.
in my backyard.
I think we do the
Identify
assessment
fire
first.
every year.
I need to try it, we need to try to figure
Get
out
on
first.
schedule.
Yeah, and then go from there.
Yeah.
You
You
gotta
know,
start
Work with
somewhere.
Golden Mate, do an assessment, and then go
we're
from
not
there.
gonna do all 25 or more a year.
No, you get them on a rotation.
Yep.
Yeah, get them all done at once
Yes.
and then go on.
Well, no, we would rotate.
If you don't have enough
We're gonna
money,
do every single one except for the one up at Garfield.
I don't, that's more of a last, we wrap that up at the end. It's more of a cleanup.
like,
Because that goes down the creek, it's so.
What's that?
the line
So
from the
bad.
plant, what the old line that they pull out of the wastewater plant, right? You know that line down there? Yeah. Okay. So they did,
the line down there.
a lot of them know, cities that wanna get rid of that line will, when they dredge the ponds out, they will actually cook the bottom of it. And it's actually good for natural resources too.
Huh.
The bottom of the ponds. My biggest
There's
concern
nothing living in
with
the
ponds
pond.
is how bad natural mosquito lives. Growth, obviously, I know there's not a lot we can do.
But that's,
They talk about-
we're in the whole stages getting killed.
Or don't let developments go into the stormwater ponds then.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
Make
it's
them-
worse when it rains all the time.
I mean,
Century locate, like, every little development, look at the one north of town, they just, that little bit of stretch, they added another stormwater pond. For what, 24 houses? Another stormwater pond went in, another stormwater pond went in with your concrete place out there. It's like, that's the answer to everything, is 5 houses, stormwater pond.
Who
So,
decides that?
there's lots, that's a good question.
Or it's too bad we wouldn't like rope that into the contract, right, if you're gonna do a development, you pay this much because we know it's gonna cost this much to maintain your little pond.
There's
But
lots
it's a
and
means
lots of
to, like,
them in
the
this town.
storm.
So
That needs to
start,
be, that's.
so start with Bolton and Mink,
Yeah,
Yeah.
start there. I like Dave's idea of getting the fire department going around on a schedule, but
We can make it happen, I'm sure.
but you're gonna run into somewhere you, I don't think you'll be able to burn, there's a lot of trees. in it.
No, I mean, we'll have to go out and look at it and really
This
say
one,
yes
either.
or yay or nay, yeah, no, we can't burn this one, or.
Yeah.
we want to
But
figure out
they-
something else, but
Just to let you know, the biggest purpose of the stormwater pond is to settle stuff out, right?
Mhm.
And as long as it's functioning, we're not really concerned about what's on the outside edge of it. For the most part, unless you, that's for aesthetics, honestly. So I had a big argument, a big talk with the DNR about this. Cause it was growing cattails, I thought there was rules, just so everybody knows. If it's a stormwater pond, it has cattails in it, it's under 5 acres, we have the right to do whatever we want to do with it. If it's over 5 acres, then you're pushing a whole different series. Now, we do have some bigger stormwater ponds in town, but
like, I wouldn't, I personally wouldn't be burning the one over at Pheasant.
yeah,
No, I'm dead serious, like, there's nowhere for it to go except for a house or in the woods.
well, you're gonna find that in a lot of areas.
But I mean, that's,
Some of them, like people finish their yards right up to the rear
so
yard.
that's where we're gonna have to, we're gonna run into that.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say as long as Bolton and Mink has put a plan together for us, we're actively looking at this and
Yep.
saying, yeah, we can't do this because of this. That at least, here's the next step with Bolton and Mink, what we can do.
And maybe reaching out to some cities that are our same size and asking them, what do you do? How do you guys handle, how do you guys handle it, and what is your policy on this, and what do you do? I mean, maybe we don't have to reinvent the wheel either, right? They have a policy and they manage it on a smaller scale, just like we would have to.
I trim mine back every spring, but then by now, it's completely full. Goes through the
Yep.
part of maintenance.
The pond right by Pheasant Ridge Park, and some years it's completely dry and nothing, and some years pretty full like it is now.
And during the drought, we have no water. Five houses on my block, so we have probably 25 houses total, 80, that's around it.
move on.
nuisances.
Yep, 5504-1, that should be updated by 48, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that,
yeah.
Does that matter whether it's a school bus route or not?
I think you said you take that.
Okay.
Okay,
If it's a complaint, and the homeowner doesn't do nothing, we'll go out and take care of it.
look at the one on Pleasant, that's school bus, that's city, right?
You mean the city trail that comes up to the road?
Third right there, that's usually where the bus stop is.
Right.
So
And
that's not a homeowner.
we have an ordinance, and everything we do is on our ordinance, and it's specific.
Mhm.
That's a reminder, if you guys ever wanna know what the city does as far as sidewalks, it's in the snow and ice removal policy ordinance.
Corner of Emerson, that's bus stop.
Now, it doesn't specifically say bus stops, it just says specific of which ones we do.
I still think they're 48 hours. I go back to when I grew up and maintained it. That's a lot of calls that we had. Yeah.
A lot of people actually hate it, a lot of people love it, it's just,
There's gonna be times kids are gonna have to walk through snow to get to the bus, depending on the day.
well, the one thing I notice the most is lots that have two sidewalks on it, if it's a corner lot, and they got one coming this way, one coming this way, they don't tend to keep those up as much.
55043 is the railroad area. Who takes care of the tree? Is that their responsibility on First Street?
First Street North,
North,
you mean,
the trees and.
you would think it would be, but they're not gonna worry about what's on our side, they never have.
They're only gonna worry about the right of way and what affects their drainage.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're making a complaint, we'll trim some trees.
And in that aspect, the railroad is, I mean, they're
We
probably
usually
one of the
trim-
difficult people to deal with, MnDOT's easier to deal with.
We usually trim First Street back if it's affecting our plow trucks. One year we really cleaned it up, and then we got kind of, the people on First Street were kind of mad because that buffer area between the train and them got too cleaned up.
Well, you can't clean it up too much.
Oh, we did.
Come on.
So, right now, if you're talking everything past the ball field to the first corner there, if it affects our plow trucks, we trim it, other than that, we let it buck, we let it grow. So, if you feel it needs to be trimmed up, make a complaint, and I guess we'll trim it up.
last one is weeds. So currently, well, there's the list of what is considered a noxious weed that might need to be updated. And then our ordinance is 12 inches. Speak now. Oh, forever.
I
was just gonna show you something.
Dan has a weed thing.
Give me a second about the height, just
Then
about
if they
an
go
entire yard.
horizontal too,
Right there. Even it says weed stick on, anything above that blue tape.
what if they go
This is not-
horizontal and fall over the curb?
What I'll say to this is, I'm not even worried about the height, it's more or less if the entire yard is just filled and it's not being taken. We shouldn't worry about the height, we should just worry about the appearance.
The
I would
appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
But how do you
that's,
write that so that it's enforceable?
can't.
Right.
Cause it's
I
really
mean, like-
dependent on
Well, like, you
your
know,
opinion.
well, it's also dependent on, the years that we had droughts, there's nothing we can do about it. We've had a really good season so far,
Mhm.
so yeah, you can take care of
need a height ordinance. I would not get away from a height ordinance, but
I just feel like that's gonna be the, wow, it's only 11.5, so.
right.
You know, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, honestly, I've never had a lot of pushback from the mowing thing. If I send them a letter, it typically gets done unless the house is kind of abandoned or something else is going on.
They know.
And then otherwise, we go out there and mow it, and then they get the message, so.
And the bill.
And then.
Again, we're not driving around looking at yards. It's complaint based, correct?
There are certain, you know, it's that, I don't care what the height is,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like crap.
Mhm.
That's,
So do we just continue to do that complaint based then?
I mean, that's the only way we're gonna have to.
It's, when I drove around last Friday, I mean, I could drive around for a week and pick up little tiny things. I mean, I certainly don't have time for that, and I know you guys know that, but like I said, if you wanna do active code enforcement, that probably involves another body.
You know, like I said, we take the 12 inches away and just go overall like complaint based. If we can make a reasonable assumption, if we go view that and go, yeah, that looks terrible, we need to send a letter.
It's even like around people's mailboxes, there's highways, around, you know, I mean, just little things, around the trees, around, I mean, it's just all these things that if you're really gonna actively code enforce and you're gonna get picky, those are the things that I would go after. And get everybody's yard cleaned up.
But of course, we're still complaint based.
Well, but if we weren't, I mean, I'd be sending letters
Oh,
to every single house, you know.
Keep it complaint based. I would just, again, personally, if we're gonna do complaint based, take 12 inches off.
We have to have a height.
Yeah.
If you don't have a parameter, then it's just an opinion, and how do you prove an opinion? Because what you think looks
You wanna
bad
lower the
might be
height, then
different
lower
than
the
somebody
height,
else.
but
Yeah, we need something to go on it.
Lower it.
Yeah, if you have one weed out there, who cares?
Right.
That's what I think we're talking
It's
about.
not just the height, it's the quantity, right?
Yes.
You've got a couple by your mailbox, nobody cares.
Nobody
It's
cares.
yard. It's when your
Your
whole
whole
yard is
yard
spilling
just
up
looks
the,
like crap.
yeah.
I don't need to go out there with a measuring stick.
that one.
I know it does, so I'm just saying.
I guess I haven't looked at other cities, I don't know, they must have a height.
they usually do, and then they waive that height here in normal May or whatever, but then it usually comes flying back in June. Personally, I think 12 inches is a little high, but if you go under 12, you're gonna be doing a lot of letters. I mean, complaint based.
We're going complaint based. I'm just saying, it's something for the fight, if they go, oh, it's not 12 inches, this is nothing. Take this letter, go away with you.
And the person not having the height is, if you go out there and everything is under 12 inches, but it is the entire yard.
Right, how do you violate that if that's not written down?
Right, and what, I mean, your grass was 3 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches? I mean.
I can tell we mow all city parks at 3.
Yeah.
That's the height we mow at, that's the one I mow at home, 3
I know,
inches.
3 1/4.
Now, I would say 6 would be overgrown grass.
I would agree.
That's all, that's my opinion.
Richfield, I would get a letter if it was 5 inches.
So are we saying we wanna change the 12 inches to 6?
I'm just saying, I'm trying to get rid of any sort of fight back. It sounds like you don't have much, but I don't think anybody's going out there and looking for that one weed. Looking at the totality of the yard.
Most people that disobey this are not gonna be pleasant when public works shows up on their property. We need a height.
I'm fine with putting height in there, I think 12 is too much.
So whatever you guys decide, I mean, I need an enforceable height.
So when Public Works does go out,
Yeah.
is it in the, a assessment enforced? Do we,
Yes.
no, I know that wasn't a big deal before. Okay.
We keep track of hours and the equipment,
It's sent out your list,
and I believe it's $100.
$100 for the violation itself, and then it's $100 per hour for public works.
Do you take a photo of it before and then a photo afterwards? So
We got it on
or
our
it's like
phones,
some
yeah,
consistency?
but, I mean, if you want me to download it to the server, I mean, the ones that we mow are pretty bad, and I don't think there's any proof you could drive on First Street.
No, but it would show that we're consistent, like, it's
Yeah,
like, it's
I would
not
probably
about
put
me.
those somewhere.
I would at least
So,
send it.
so we should be saying, Ryan came in last week and talked about when they do something, he's gonna start taking a photo, but just anything, water line, anything, taking a picture, emailing it to Marie, and then she's gonna put it in their information account.
That's fine with me.
Cause then at least if they're like, well, that's central, it's like, right, you can see consistently, if it's not just about one weed, it's about the fact that all these, what looks the same about all these properties? They're all overgrown as a whole, it's not just the height. You know, and at least it shows that we're treating everybody the same.
So then my other question is, properties that mow their front yard, their backyard is a jungle, what do you do there?
With the 4 dogs. I think you need
I
to
mean,
move
that,
and
there's
stuff.
a
There's
lot of that.
ponds.
in this town, I'll tell you that. They keep their front yard looking just fine, their backyard is horrid. But, again, it's complaint based, right, so
So you just need a height. That's all
you need a height, yeah.
So what are we thinking height wise? 12 is too much.
6.
6? 6 it is.
Lower my feet.
Better.
So then 5604 is the same thing, you have at 6.
Yeah.
I like the height, but I hate the height.
God, look at the
Usually it's a drop.
Yeah, do it.
shut it off, and then they'll.
It's not often stick too.
I have a quick question. Since we went through all of this, junk and debris and leaves and garbage and all that,
Yeah.
what do we do about like certain businesses on Highway 12? That have all that junk, debris and all that, and they've been sent notices and still nothing. How far does the council wanna go on? stuff like that? Casey's building in general.
What can we do?
Well, we can send them a notice, we can send them fines, and we can start the process for like abatement or legal action. I've never had to do that, so I don't know, honestly.
How many times has it been talked to already?
They went out there in person, they've not been sent a notice.
And then she sent a ton of information to him, and he's gotten no
Okay, so
response.
we've educated, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I think that we just start the process, right? Like we've already tried to educate, so now it's the process.
I'm trying to get to the point of that process. That's what we need to figure out, we can't just say, start the process.
Right,
We have to
and
know
then
what
the
it is.
attorney
Yes.
was gonna,
Yeah.
yeah.
As a attorney
Mhm.
question, I think we need to deal with businesses like that, you need to go through.
One of his solutions was to put up a fence in the middle of the
In the middle
parking
of the
lot,
parking lot.
which he, after reading through it, talking to our planner, he can legally do. And as long as it's behind the fence, it's like, I would hate to see him do that, because that would look, it would almost draw attention to it even more. So, which is why we wanted to work with him, he's a nice person. But it does look bad, and it's hard to enforce other things when people drive by that and they're like,
Right.
you're worried about me mowing my grass? You know, I mean, that's the hard part, he's a super nice man. Yeah.
Yeah, next step would be attorney.
I think the first step is to have an official notice come from us
Yeah.
and saying that we're gonna fine him or start the abatement process if it's not ready.
That way when it goes to the attorney, we have all physical.
And I think in that case, you have to like send a certified letter, if not to start legal proceedings. Anything else on that? The next section was the Minnesota Basic Code recommendations from our codification project. None of these are mandatory, these are just for you guys to look at to see if you saw anything that caught your eye or something that you think we should adopt. I was gonna talk to Kevin about emergency management, this goes very in depth with some of the stuff.
With our emergency management, we used to get trained as a council. I don't know why that stopped or if it needs to stop or continue, I don't know. So,
I think it should continue.
yeah,
You know, when I first got on council, Kevin mentioned to me that you gotta go through the training. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a discussion we should have. We should have that training.
yeah, cause I don't think we've done training since, what, 2014, something like that.
Yeah, I did it when I first started.
Yeah.
I did do the training.
ISO 700, 900, and all those.
Yeah, yeah.
I did invite Kevin, he wasn't able to come tonight, so I will talk to him about emergency management and ongoing training.
I believe those FEMA training, you just go online and link.
Yes.
You can,
Yeah,
But-
there's links.
Yeah, he had us do
He
some
had
sort
us
of,
do a class.
yeah.
but once you pass one of those ISOs, I don't think you ever have to do it
I
again.
don't think so, yeah.
I don't think there's refreshers
No,
on
there's
it,
no
so
refreshers.
once
But,
you,
but
once
for
you
new
pass it,
council
it's done.
members or, you know,
Yeah,
or something
right,
like
so
that.
Joe and I would already have that from the fire department's perspective.
And I mean, there's a bunch of them out there, I mean, you know, for different, you know, there's a few different ones on council, I know different ones for fires, I mean, yeah, that'd be a good thing to do, but I don't think it's more important.
Yeah, and we haven't had, I mean, however many years ago when we lost power over at Excel, that was, I think, a new, when you moved right in or something. What's the process
Middle of
now?
winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when it was, yeah, Greg was mayor at the time, but, what's the process now? I mean, has Kevin changed the procedures and it'd be good to get a little refreshers on all that kind of stuff.
I think just having an update on procedures.
Yeah.
Procedures with the city plan is,
Yeah.
well, whatever.
Maybe at our next workshop, we can.
You're talking power outage, tornado,
Yeah.
like major disasters.
Yeah.
Emergency plan.
All I know is, I was told that this community center is based. And always will be.
Yeah.
Now, that was done before because we didn't have power up here, but you have power here now, so maybe there's some things that can change.
The next section starts on page 43, and that's about the dangerous, potentially dangerous dogs. It goes into quite a lot of detail. Again, I will talk to Wright County about this. And read through it and see that we should definitely adopt this or definitely not. I don't know. The next section on page 53 is the nuisances that they're suggesting. It's very similar to ours, except for they add some stuff about, so 9218, like they go into noises, prohibited. 9219 on page 57 is nuisance parking and storage. We don't have a lot of this stuff in our actual city code, most of this is in our zoning code about like parking on your actual property. So this would, not allow storage of more than 24 hours of like ice fishing houses, skateboard ramps, playhouses, or other non-permanent structures, for longer than 24 hours in the front yard unless more than 100 feet back from the front property line. No more than 4 vehicles per lawful dwelling unit may be parked or stored anywhere outside on a residential property unless otherwise permitted or required by the city. That number does not include vehicles for occasional guests, vehicles to be parked on a paved or gravel parking surface. It goes into inoperable motor vehicles, and building maintenance and appearance, 9221. Goes into quite a bit of detail about, building appearance, not allowing people to have, unpainted areas or screens that are defaced or holes,
It's how we enforce this.
right?
You're not gonna go out there and
Well, and it's like 20% of their, like, facade, if it's like peeling up 20% or more, and I'm like, how do we know that, and how would we quantify that, I guess?
highly doubt Dominic's gonna be driving around doing that.
Yeah. So, these are just suggestions, and Minnesota makes it come again, so I would suggest me just.
Yeah, I think at this time, I think it's just, okay, it's there, we've got it, but until we take that next step, whether it be a code enforcement officer, I think we just.
A lot of that stuff is, like I said, in our zoning ordinance, so it is enforceable at staff level, at an administrative level. Page 63 goes over our licensed peddlers and solicitors. We do have ordinance information on this and local food trucks. This does require them to have a license from the county before they get a license from us.
Yep, and I think we're gonna looking into this, and like the transient merchants time goes into, so this will probably be coming for a review soon.
Next section, 71, curfew for minors.
Let's get this taken care of once and for all.
This goes into quite a bit of detail. It does have basic nuts and bolts to it. Minors under 16, they can't be out between the hours of 10:30 and 5 a.m. 16 to 18, midnight to 5 a.m. There's some exceptions to that. We just have I think it's a very brief thing about curfew in ours, so.
Isn't there more of a county ordinance that the county goes by probably?
Okay.
Just about that.
Yeah, I think it's 11.
I don't know that we need to, it just applies if we don't do that.
I would just say let's just, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
We don't need to police other people's kids.
Page 75, this is an ordinance that I am currently having the city attorney look over. This is the Howard Lake ordinance for point of sale for sanitary sewer inspections. This is going to be required for us to join the wastewater regionalization mission. So we will need to adopt this or a version of this. So our attorney said she would be able to have it ready for like the September meeting to have a draft of this ready and consideration for approval and adoption. Any questions on this or any?
That's just point of sale. That's just businesses.
No, so it'd be all
This is
residential properties.
all connections within the city.
So if you go to sell your house, you have to have a sewer inspection on your line, you have to have it cameraed and then we get the video.
So who's doing the sump pump inspections?
We do it if we come in.
And then you'll have to have a company come in and do the cameraing of the sewer line.
So this is not gonna be a water line situation where we got everybody bring in photos?
No,
This
We
is
don't
your,
have to
this is
certify
your,
everybody right now.
I don't think we certified initially, we just at the point of sale, right? Like, we're not like requiring
Oh,
everybody
it's
to.
just when the property's sold.
Just
Yeah,
when the
just
property's
at sale.
right.
I was gonna say, cause that's gonna be a big undertaking.
Yeah.
We have to start certifying.
Point of sale, and, we'll have to keep records up here, digital records of everything, so it's gonna be a little bit of paperwork, but
The cities who have done it have gotten lots of good benefits from it, and it reduces INI and also
Yeah.
stuff, so,
lucky for us, us, our older part of town, all got redone, but you gotta remember, we only redid to our right of way. This is gonna make the homeowner responsible for
Their section.
their section. So. It's kind of for some people that move a lot in this town, or, you know, a lot of people that sell houses, they're probably not gonna like it, but the commission's gonna require us to do this.
Yeah,
That's where we're at.
The point of it, the major point of this is for rainwater and water that we're gonna have to pay for in 3 years, per thousand, isn't rain, isn't unnecessary sewage.
Sanitary sewer.
That your
It's close to clear.
service lines are tight enough to snuff.
and it's not us, I mean, we're not mandating this.
Yeah,
It's just,
we really have no-
this, we have to do it.
No, I was just concerned that we had to certify it.
No,
No, just when you sell your house.
trust me, when I saw the Mitchell, that was much more.
Yeah. So,
Nothing there.
The next one is an ordinance that's being recommended by Wright County. They came and brought it to us one day. This is one from St. Michael. The attorney's also looking at this to do our own version of this. If you guys decide you want to move forward and adopt something like this, this will help us prevent issues that other cities very nearby have recently and are currently dealing with.
I think this actual place popped up in Howard, like after they were shut down in St. Michael, right?
There's an issue with one in Maple Lake as well, so.
Shut down now.
Maple Lake has been shut down.
It was definitely blasted, so I would hope that that should happen.
No, but it's still going.
So we don't want them to open up here, so this would give us some teeth if they try. Wright
So
County
the
said it
attorney's
was,
going through it?
huh?
The attorney's going through it?
Yes.
Okay.
And Wright County said that they liked the, that St. Michael came up with, and they thought it was pretty thorough, so, yeah, I'm having our attorney review it for us, and then,
Ship it.
Right, good, Mike.
Just kind of getting your guys' thoughts on utility billing. Currently, right now, the, bill is in the owner or the renter's name, and we would like to make a push to switch that, where all utilities are mandated to be in the property owner's name. But it can't be in the renter's name. They can put the renter on there, so we know who the renter is, but, the bill itself is in the homeowner's name, and they're responsible for paying it. Ultimately, at the end of the year, they get stuck with the special assessment anyway. So rather than us being a bill collector and a property manager, we would just have it be in the owner's name. We worked with Republic on this. They highly encourage it. They highly want us to do this, because we would also need to, if we have an ordinance about that, amend it so that for garbage and recycling, it would also be in the homeowner's name.
It makes sense to me. All good there?
I know I can see it.
Kind of following that same vein, I know in the past, I obviously never saw the ordinance, but I know historically there was a policy or rental licensing policy in the city. I don't know when it changed or when it went away, but talking about bringing that back, so having homeowners who rent out their property, it's a business, so paying a fee, it would be a licensing fee, initially, and you guys can kind of decide if you wanted to do an annual fee on top of that, how often you want to have them inspected. I did meet with Mike from Metro West, and he talked about, it's something they do it for a lot of cities. They just started doing it with Annandale. I did include, there is their most recent ordinance, so I attached it because he said he liked that the most. and then behind that is Metro West checklist for what they're looking for. Their fee is $100 an hour, and then they bill in 30-minute increments. So obviously that first year is probably gonna be a little bit more time spent, but every year after that, he said it just gets to be less and less time. Some cities do it where they do the initial licensing, and then they do every other year, or even every 3 years, but they still have an annual licensing fee. So, you know, I guess I even thought about doing an initial licensing fee and an inspection fee, and then doing it every 3 years, but even the 2 years in between there, they still have an annual fee, which would give us, I mean, we're not looking to make money off of it, but it would help us, A, with code enforcement, making people accountable. And then if there are properties where we have to do something more legal, we've got a little bit of money that we have built up with those annual fees to spend more administrative time getting them to comply. And again, there's kind of a call to action with it. You know, you have a house here, you wanna rent it out. Our sister city in Waverly does it, Annandale does it, there's a lot of cities that do it, and it feels kind of remiss not to do it.
Have we thought about, I don't think we have any income, but we thought about the Airbnb piece of it?
Short-term rentals, I mean, we looked at that, and, you know, who is getting an Airbnb here?
I've never.
Yeah.
I know.
We did
That's what I'm
look
saying.
into it, and it just didn't, like, other cities just have dismissed that piece of it, because it was just not, it just doesn't happen enough.
Yeah, it became an issue.
Yeah.
obviously, people can
Yeah.
complain, but-
Just,
Yeah, for sure.
cause I know we've had issues with
Yeah.
long-term renters.
It's a thing,
and
yeah.
That would be nothing, but, you
Yes.
know.
The only thing that would be the exception is if you rent to they would still, they do not have to do an inspection if they rent to a family member, or if they live in the house and they have a renter with them. If they live there, homestead, if they don't, they're exempt.
Homestead, so it'd be fine.
And that's kind of the state statute, so we would follow that. We'd still keep them on the list, we'd still know it's a rental, but we would exempt them from doing. And then obviously apartments would be, you know, there's kind of some examples on here, and obviously we're not married to any of these numbers, but they're just kind of based on some of the other cities that we've looked at. Some cities do it where half the city does it 1 year and half the city does it the other. Mike said he would prefer just to tear it off like a Band-Aid, and every 3 years, just do all of them and be done with it. He said it's easier for them to do that than to split them up. And he said it's probably easier for us from an accountability standpoint. I think it's gonna be not a ton, it's gonna be a lot of work upfront, but I think once whatever we're doing for the utility billing, a lot of those pieces are gonna carry over, and I just think it makes sense. You know, I've asked them about code enforcement, they said they.
What will we do when it comes to like over in JP Brooks where some of those will be rental units? Like, who would be the owner then?
What do you mean?
They wanted to rent some of those out.
Whoever the owner is. I mean, the owner is responsible, so if they're rentals, then they would just be applicable to a rental fee like everybody else, and utilities.
I'll make sure
would
we're
be
covering all the bases, so.
Yeah, for sure.
And in between years that we're getting inspections done, we would obviously have them come out if somebody wanted to turn their house into a rental property.
Yep.
Do an initial inspection.
Yep, if somebody wanted to get licensed, we could do that. So you guys would just need to decide if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to have them inspected every 2 years or every 3 years. And then we could make a more formal proposal about numbers, but I kind of went over some of these with Mike, and he thought they were reasonable and within the realm of what he sees in other places.
And he recommended like every 3 years?
He said 2 to 3. I thought 3 because it feels more passive, like we're not trying to come in and overtake. And his whole motto too, when we talked about it, was like, he liked this ordinance because this ordinance really speaks to, we're not trying to be micromanagers, right? You have a contract with your landlord, you have like, it just is really more about small oversight, and we're not trying to overstep. But there's some accountability, we don't have the side of the landlord or the renter. We're neutral.
I would just push more of the onus onto the property owner when there's certain issues. We're not getting,
I mean, I think so. You
getting
know.
any feedback from the renter.
Yeah, I think so, and,
That would give them push onto the property owner, no, this doesn't get fixed, it's not.
right, there's more accountability, that there just is, and I think even, you know, from a code enforcement standpoint, right? If you know there's an inspection, or if you clean something up initially, because you have to pass inspection, most people, not everybody, they're going to keep it up then, right? So that's the whole, right, that you have to fix it in order to pass inspection, why wouldn't you just maintain it then? Rather than every 3 years having to, you know, you're gonna have a percentage of people that you're just always going to have to, do that with, you know. We do a late fee if they're not certified by a certain time. And I would just work with Mike on kind of the process for that, but we kind of talked about just turning it over as an over-the-counter permit. You're a landlord, you come in, you apply for the permit, you get your schedule for the inspection, you pass it, boom, you pay your fee, it's done with that.
Roughly how many rental properties do we currently have?
Joe, I'm so glad you asked, I don't know. I'm gonna say without apartments, probably 75. Yeah,
Bigger number than I thought.
yeah,
Well, it's starting to be a thing, like these companies that just buy these houses sight unseen and then they just rent them out.
which is fine. You wanna do that, but it's like, well, I mean, you're running a business, and so the cost of doing business in this city is that some of that money gets kicked back because we have administration that has to do code enforcement on your property, and if you wanna partner with us on that, we'll cut down on all of
You
that.
look at it this way too, I mean, for the people that are renting it, you know, having that house inspected, safety aspect of it, you know.
I mean, we're getting some pushback. I had talked to one of the property managers that has several properties in this, city last year even, and he had, you know, all the reasons why he didn't think it was a good idea. And I invited him to share all those with us. I said, you know, we're not married to this idea, we would like to work with you on this. Share all those ideas with us, and we will think about them before we make any of these changes. I never heard another word. We have another person who has multiple properties in this town, and they came in the other day, and I talked to them about it, and they were all about, they're like, yeah, totally makes sense to me. So, I mean, we're gonna probably get both, but
You're gonna get that on anything.
you're gonna get that on anything, you know?
I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
I think probably aim for that 3-year mark.
I was surprised we didn't have it when it was initially brought up.
I like the 3 year too, it doesn't feel as like encroaching,
Yeah.
it feels passive.
Good there.
Equipment sharing, this is coming from me. This is something that, we had in Hanover, and I haven't talked to Dana much about it, but I wanted to put it out there if council was gonna be okay with it. It's basically an agreement, we had it between, Corcoran, Rogers, St. Michael, Hanover, Albertville. And it was just, an agreement stating that it was just to borrow equipment back and forth. Obviously, you know, if you borrow something from somebody that breaks when you have it, you're gonna fix it before you return it. But it also, not that I don't think it necessarily covers, but I mean, we could even trade labor. You know, say they were gonna do a big concrete pour in a park, can 3 of you guys come over for 3 hours today and just help us do this big concrete pour? It's just more of a trade, you're like, you help me, we help you, you know, back and forth. So, and I know Dan's probably gonna say, we don't have anything everyone's borrow. You know-
We're part of Minmore, which
Okay,
we've been signed up for a long time, and we have gotten called out
Yeah.
from Minmore before.
I just didn't know about, you know, going up to the people who we do our safety training with, you know, and just saying, would you guys be interested? Cause I just think of like seeing what we pay to like rent to put the Christmas lights up and like the lifts, that we could save so much money by just saying, hey, can we borrow it for half a day?
I mean, all they can
Yeah.
say is no.
All they can, I mean, they might say no, and maybe they don't wanna do this, but I don't think it's gonna hurt to ask. So I guess this is more of a council, what are your opinions? If you're okay, let's see what comes of it.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think the more we can get other cities surrounding us involved in everything,
Mhm.
it's only gonna benefit everyone in the long run.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a great idea.
In collaboration.
Yeah, and those have relationships with everybody.
I mean, I think like this, if we do get that from when it comes through and takes out trees everywhere, you know, having this agreement where another city comes in and helps clean it up, and that's, yeah, could use it. I've seen it in action in other cities, worked out really well.
Okay.
Are you gonna grab something else on, or is Dan or?
I wanna sit down and talk to Dan first, and, talk to him about like which cities, and then probably send the agreement to the attorney, have them read through it, make sure it's okay with them, and then we'll go from there.
So Minmore, I'm just gonna tell you, it's more for emergency purposes, storms that go through, we are part of that. We got called up to Litchfield with our Bobcat and our grapple. We sent 3 guys out there for almost 2 days. And when you're part of Minmore and you're called upon, it ain't a choice, you go.
What's it called, Midmore?
Minwarn, W-A-R-N.
Is that like an acronym for something?
I
Photo warning.
don't know. They were
Oh,
signed up
you said there was such confidence, I thought that was
3, 4
legit.
public works directors ago, so
Okay, can we have a discussion about the dog licensing?
Done.
There's a newsletter.
Where I know somebody is taking on it.
We've already been put on. We talked about this before, just trying to do some cost savings to the city. So basically to provide cost-effective communication to our residents. I think it'll reduce printing, paper, postage expenses, allowing the city funds to be reallocated to other essential services and programs. Everybody will have access to it. It'll still be online, it'll be printable for people who want to print it. It's more friendly to the environment. And I think we can also create more content opportunities. We can do videos, we can do things that are digital that we can't do in paper. I understand it's not everybody's favorite, and I do respect that and I recognize it, but I do think that we are moving in that direction as a society for everything. And again, for the people who want it printed, they can still do that. But it is kind of turned into a marketing newsletter, which for a small town like this, there's value in, right? We don't have a lot of opportunities to do that, but we need to find a way to be able to do it and do it cost effectively, and doing it digitally will allow us to still have it, but not pay so damn much for it.
Is there a way that we can put it more accessible on our website?
I have it on there now. It's right next to newspaper, so it's under community, and then it says newsletter, and each quarter we put it on there for people to print. We could put like a little button or something, and kind of teach people, for the fall one, we're gonna give kind of an overview that this is where you're gonna be able to find it moving forward. And here's the thing, we're gonna put it in the fall, or in the winter, in the fall newsletter. And the reality is anybody who says after that they can't find it isn't reading the newsletter. Right? If you say you can't find it, because you never read the newsletter in the first place. Obviously, we're not looking for a gotcha moment, but I'm just saying, right, like if you're looking for it, then you will find it, right? And we'll be part of that process, we'll put it on city bills so people will know that we've made a transition, but I think for the most part, it makes sense.
I agree.
It's a lot of money.
You wanna take it away a year soon, right? Cause didn't you say 2026 originally?
Yeah, so we'll do,
Go again.
well, we'll do the fall one, and the fall one will be limited, but it'll be, digital, and then as of January 1st, it'll all be digital. Yeah. So this year, for the fall one, I think what we told people is they could submit their full ad. That would be available digital, but we would manipulate it for the written one for the fall newsletter, and then as of January 1st, it would just be all digital. But then they get to add as much really as they want. And there's a flyer somebody wants, or, people get to kind of piecemeal what they want, what they don't want.
No, I think it's a good idea, and everything's moving that way anyways. So a good way to drive more traffic to our website.
Sure.
And for the discussion, won't be coming up later this year, but as we move towards maybe looking into a mobile app. To be able to pull up on the phones.
Yeah.
page to it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And just continuing to market that this is where you can find it now, and, yeah, we don't leave people just hanging.
Any other discussion there?
Motion to adjourn. We talked about that earlier.
Alright, all in favor?